Day 2. Day 2, afternoon. We pull out of camp after tea, passing an abandoned termite mound, now occupied by a colony of dwarf mongooses, so tiny they could easily sit in the palm of your hand. The mongooses dart about, constantly on the lookout for danger. Their heads pop in and out of the termites' mound holes like little jack-in-the-boxes. Up ahead, a warthog soy walks on her horny knees, searching for roots and tubers in the sand. We startle her as we drive past, and she and her piglets are off and running, their tails sticking straight up. Farther along, a 5-foot-long water monitor lizard waddles his forked tongue, flicking from his burrow in the sand to a freshly flooded pond. But this afternoon brings no elephants. Later, we sit on the deck of our tent, snacking on mopane worms, a delicacy enjoyed by the local people who squeeze off the heads and fry the worms in hot oil. Ew. They are delicious, but the dim glow of our kerosene lantern makes them easier to swallow since we can't really see what we're eating. It has been another extraordinary day, but where we wonder are the elephants. How can 12,000-pound creatures be so hard to find? Day 3, morning. As we are wakened by the song of the Cape turtle dove. It sounds like work harder, work harder, work harder. A gray lorry chimes it in with a nasal, go away, go away. We hope he's not calling to the elephants. As we get underway, a blacksmith plover leaps up from the roadside, calling a metallic tink, tink, tink. A large herd of Cape buffalo materializes out of the mopin scrub, presenting a solid bulwark of muscle and bone. They sniff the breeze for possible danger, but what could harm them? Only elephants could make them move, and the elephants are nowhere to be seen. The buffalo melt in the forest, and we move on ahead, crossing the track right in front of us. The mother lion and her 2 remaining cubs head for the safety of the mopin scrub. We come out onto a flooded grass plain where a herd of giraffes are feeding on candlepod accuracy. With their long black tongues and upper lips, they delicately pluck the tender leaves, which are surrounded by needle-sharp thorns. Sometimes giraffes pick up pollen on their lips and noses and pollinate trees like bees. At 19 feet, giraffes are the tallest animals on earth, and they are amazing. One of them slowly, carefully spread his front legs wide and lowers his head to drink. Even though they can weigh up to 2,600 pounds in this position, giraffes are vulnerable to lions, and this one is skittish as he drinks. Nearby, in a stand of acrobacy, a mother nurses her 10-foot-tall baby. 2 young males are spar playfully, swinging their heads at each other's bodies in an action called necking. We follow a now submerged track out onto the plain. As at our approach, the giraffes break into the curious run. They move like rocking horses as they splash across the flooded plain, sending up sparkling sprays of water. Day 3, afternoon. This afternoon we pass the termite mound again, but today it is covered with birds instead of mushrooms. Glossy starlings, red and yellow, billed hornbills, and helmeted shrieks all feast on termites crawling out of the mound to fly and mate. At a place called Paradise Pools, we spy a huge crocodile sunning himself on the far bank. He has swallowed an impala buck whole. Only its head and long curved horns protrude from the croc's mouth. As he lies them slowly digesting, he looks like a mythical monster. In the muddy water ahead, a hammer crop shuffles its feast to scare up fish, worms, and frogs. The hammer crop, which means hammerhead in Afrikaans, gets its name from its large crest and bill. Its nest in the forks of trees and huge dome-shaped construction of twigs and mud. It is late in the day, and our hope of seeing elephants is sinking with the sun. Suddenly, a large male leopard appears in the high grass in front of us. He climbs an old termite mound for a better view of the surrounding plain. The lowering sunlight strikes him on the shoulders as he gazes off in all the directions. As he leaves the mound and walks into the setting sun, a full moon hangs in the bright sky behind him. We returned to camp and walked to our tent, shining flashlights into the trees, wary in the dark of the feeding hippo. He could be very dangerous if we got between him and the water. So the Lewins write that the hopes of seeing elephants is sinking with the sun. Do you think that is an effective way to show their feelings? What mood do you feel as you listen to this part of their quest? Day 4, morning. This morning we drive hubcap deep onto a flooded grass plain. Our truck has special tires and can drive through the water with ease. The red leechweed have special hooves so they can run through the water with ease. When frightened, they head for deeper water, sometimes submerging with only their nostrils showing. In some places in the delta, leechweed herds cluster on floating islands of peat that wave underfoot as they feed. The water keeps rising. More and more dry areas are now underwater, too deep to cross. A herd of wildebeest crosses a lush meadow, all spiky manes and unruly beards. They look like a combination of buffalo and antelope and horse, all coupled together. We can go no further. The water is too deep. We backtrack into the milky scrub. Suddenly, shrill trumpets sound behind every tree. We found the elephants at last, and if pulled deep in the mopin scrub, the giants of this garden squeal and splash and flap their ears, looking as joyful as we feel. In wallows nearby, some elephants are spraying muddy water all over themselves to protect their sensitive skins, and they glisten like wet bronze. A group comes to the water's edge. 2 tiny calves stand between their mothers and aunts and siphon water with their soft little trunks. Our truck is downwind of them, and they are unaware of us, but we keep the engine running just in case. Some of the elephants are belly deep in the water. Others lie on their sides, almost completely submerged, with only the tips of their trunks snorkeling the surface. 2 mammoth mud wrestlers lock up tusk and push and shove. They are quickly turning the pond into a big mud hole, and they seem to be having a very good time doing it. Suddenly, a huge female, the matriarch, steps out of the forest right behind us. Arabang, we shout. The elephant spreads her ears until she's as wide as the side of a barn and charges. Arabang jams down on the grass and the wheels spin wildly. Finally, they grab and we lurch forward. The matriarch breaks off the charge and lumbers into the forest with a triumphant scream and 2 short blasts. We wanted to see elephants, but not that close. The wind was shifting now, and one of the mud wrestlers stand her trunks up like a periscope. Trumpets blare. The wind has brought our scent, and with it, pandemonium. The giant splashed off into the forest, the last one to leave, shaking her head violently and slamming the water with her trunk before she too lumbers off. The elephants will head for islands of high ground beyond our reach. Left behind on the soft clay banks are their huge footprints. When the ponds finally dry up, the empty footprints will remain in the sun-baked clay until they're filled again by the rains here in the delta. The next day we're on our way home. We say goodbye to the resident hippo, then pick up our gear, put in the back of the helix, and head for the airstrike. We can hear the Cessna coming in for a landing long before we get there. Derek helps us store our gear as we regale him with stories of our elephant quest. Then we buckle up and he taxis to the end of the strip, turns into the wind, and we roar into the sky. As our Cessna gains altitude, we look back down on the delta. It surprises us to see that it's practically empty. No herds of wildebeest or giraffes or buffalo or even leechweed. We spot only our one kind of animal on the great plain below, a huge herd of elephants right out in the open for all the wild world to see, looking down on us. Who would believe we had such trouble finding them? Smiling, we settle back into our seats and close our eyes. So the writer's emotions change a lot through the course of this book. Can you describe some of their feelings and what prompted them?